I don't know they're kidding themselves, that might be a bit emotive, but I think there might be an underestimation of how important CCS is. We've certainly seen from multiple reports now, Grantham Institute, IPCC, IEA, over and over, credible independent reports that are saying CCS has to be a major part of the solution. I think it's a little disappointing at the moment that we're not quite seeing that translate into policy support. But on the other hand, we're at Paris, we're starting to see credible movement on targets. That'll have to get tighter, and I think it'll become more and more apparent that CCS has to be part of this solution.
You think any world leader here at this event should seriously be thinking about what they can do in their country for CCS?
Well, I think a number of world leaders already are. I think it's interesting to see that a nation like China, for example, cites CCS as part of the solution in its INDC. And it's one of about 10 that you can identify that they quote or CCS in some form that they intend to use it to meet their INDCs. I mean, our view of this as we look through the analysis of it and talk to the IEA, those INDCs are somewhere going to deliver about 2.7 to 3.2 degrees C outcome. We're a long way to go.
How big were the years 2014 and 2015 for CCS? I saw your recent report, I think, last month, and there was some notable new things coming online. Just talk to us about how important those years have been.
Well, the years from 4 to 15 have been quite surprising in many respects. When I started in this job 4 years ago, we were hoping to get to 20 projects by 2020, and we had 11 roughly looking good. Today we sit with 15 operating, another 7 under construction, and we're going to have 22 working by the end of 2017. So that's been fantastic. I think the challenge for CCS is where does that next wave of projects come from? We've got about 10 that's probably going to get to a decision point over the next 18 months or so, and then it starts getting tough. So I think the question's where's the next ones?
Can you talk to us about the pressure you try and exert on governments to do precisely that?
Well, we're fortunate in that we've got quite a number of governments that are members of ours, and they are quite amenable to that discussion. I think what we're actually seeing is a fairly rational response in many instances that governments tend to go for low-hanging fruit first. And we know from our own reports that CCS is a cost-competitive solution in power after you've deployed all of the good wind that's on offer, after a lot of hydro and some other options. But we know we're better than offshore wind, we know we're better than concentrated solar thermal and the like. So I think that you'll see CCS starting to come into its own over the next few years.
So why is it the UK government has just axed a $1 billion programme for CCS? Why might that be?
Well, I think that's a question for the UK government rather than a question for me. I'm sure that when I look at their targets and so on, they appear to remain fairly committed to...
It's not a good sign for an investor, is it not, if you're thinking about CCS in those countries?
I doubt that some of their decisions lately have been great for any investor in any technology in the clean energy space. I guess that they've got some other imperatives that they have just prioritised at this stage to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Looking to the Gulf region, there's been some good things happening, if I'm not mistaken, in Abu Dhabi. And again, Saudi Arabia seems to have taken a lead. It recently held, was it the Carbon Sequestration Leadership Forum? Are Saudi Arabia, really making progress in CCS, or the fact that it's based in enhanced oil recovery, is that, taking back from its objective to reduce carbon emissions?
I don't think EOR takes away from your objectives on carbon emissions. I mean, it's the way that you actually monetise doing something with the CO2 when there's no obvious direct business case absent a significant climate constraint. I think the Gulf region is fast developing. It's fantastic. Abu Dhabi, the first plant in the steelworks industry that's got CCS on it, under construction today. Saudi Arabia with the first CO2 capture and reuse facility in the Gulf. And we see and hear from those two countries that more is on its way. So I think it's very exciting.
Paige, thanks ever so much for your time.